This is John Colo at DiscountJuicers.com. Today we have another exciting episode for you. In this episode, I'm going to share with you guys the truth about juicing cucumbers in a slow juicer, right? So a lot of you guys I've heard try to juice cucumbers and you always complain that the pulp is wet in my juicer. Right. You know, that depends on the type of juicer you're using. In general, slow juicers that use a single auger or a twin gear system are not the most efficient at juicing cucumbers, despite what some influencers out there will lead you to believe, because they'll feel the pulp and they'll say it's dry. I personally believe they're kind of like not telling the truth, but that's my personal opinion, because, you know, pulp dryness is, you know, up to the person. Like, oh, that to them it's dry, to me it's not dry, right? If you guys want to make the driest cucumber pulp and the most juice, then you want to use a $2,500 pure juicer that grinds and presses out and will get the pulp super dry, right? And if you don't want to spend $2,500 on a pure juicer, you guys can get a vacuum juicing setup. Link down below to my video where I share the best way to juice in 2025, which is actually using a vacuum blender that will also get the highest yield when juicing cucumbers. The problem arises when you're juicing cucumbers in a slow juicer, right? The slow juicers were originally designed to juice hard vegetables such as carrots and beets, and it really does a great job at doing that. That being said, the problem with the cucumbers is that the texture is so soft. Technically, cucumbers are a fruit. They're a non-sweet fruit. They contain seeds, and they have a lot different texture than a root vegetable such as carrots or beets that do a lot better in a slow juicer. Another challenge that arises with the cucumbers is that most of you guys are just buying the standard cucumbers that are market moors. They're deeper green, they're straight, and they're about this long, and when you squeeze them, they're soft. That makes juicing cucumbers even more difficult for a slow juicer that's literally grinding up with an auger and pushing it between the screen. There's no real way that it could literally press out all the pulp and get it super dry. So your pulp will always be fairly wet. And in some horizontal juicers, when you put soft cucumbers in there, it may just back up the chute and come back at you because the cucumbers are just way too soft. So in this episode, I'm going to share with you guys a few of my tips on getting the most extraction out of your cucumbers. They are amazing food, and they have a nice watery flavor and dilute your juices, especially when you're juicing fruit juices. And as you guys know, I don't recommend making 100% fruit juices. I always recommend diluting your fruit juices down with other vegetables at minimum 50%, although I would like to see you guys use 80% vegetables, which would include cucumbers, and 20% fruit as a maximum. Link down below to my video, Never Juice Fruits Without Doing This, where I discuss this in further detail. Nonetheless, back to the cucumbers here. You know, there's a few things you could do when juicing cucumbers to make it better. Number one is, instead of juicing the standard market moor cucumbers, select the English cucumbers or even the Persian cucumbers that are small. These have a more crisp texture. What I mean by crisp is if you break it, you hear the snap, right? When it snaps, that's a good sign, right? If you go to bend it and it just like keeps bending and it doesn't snap, that means that texture is going to be very poor for your slow juicer. So you're going to work worse and not as good as one that's crisp. So I would recommend things like the English cucumbers. They usually come wrapped in plastic, such as these, or the Persian cucumbers. They could come in a little bag in 1 pound, or sometimes in ethnic markets they're available, you know, by the pound, and they're a lot more crisp too. And if you can't find those, then if you do get the standard market moor, you know, in the store, try to bend them and don't try to break them, but see how much they bend, and if they're not totally crisp, then don't pick them. The other thing is, I would say, squeeze the cucumbers, right? If you could squeeze the cucumbers and it's really soft, that means that cucumber has been sitting on the shelf for a long time and it's no longer crisp, kind of getting old. Not to say that it's bad, but it's not an optimal candidate for juicing. So that's step number one. Step number two is you want to go ahead and juice your cucumbers along with something else like a root vegetable. So for example, if you just use cucumbers, like half cucumbers with half carrots, and you basically chopped up the cucumbers, chopped up your carrots, and then filled up the hopper, you know, intermixed with one cucumber, one carrot, and you kind of mixed it up in there. Don't just put all the cucumbers and all the carrots on top of it. Mix it up. This way, when a piece of cucumber goes in the juicer, right behind it is a piece of carrot, and that carrot with the hard fiber will help push that cucumber pulp through and get a better extraction on the cucumbers. That being said, I know there are some people out there that say, you got to drink cucumber juice straight to get its benefits. I'm not going to argue with them whether that's accurate or not. There are definitely benefits to all different kinds of juices, whether drinking them straight alone, 100%, or whether mixing them with other vegetables. And this is especially true if you're not eating enough vegetables already. That being said, I'm going to show you guys in this episode how to juice straight cucumbers and get the maximum yield out of them when juicing nothing but the cukes. So with that, let's get started juicing. So the first step is we need to prep the cucumbers. They've already been washed, and I like to cut off the little end that had the little stem there. So we'll just cut that off, and the next step is I just chop this into pieces. This is not rocket science. The smaller the pieces you cut, the more you could fit in the hopper. I just like to cut them into little rounds, and then we're just going to go ahead and load up the H70 juicer. Now, I am using the Hurom H70 juicer today. This is my favorite juicer that I use most in my home, simply because it's a hopper juicer, which makes juicing easier. You load the hopper, shut the lid, turn it on, you walk away, you let the juicer do all the work without you, so you don't have to sit there and push each produce into the machine that I've done so many times over the last 30 years I've been juicing. And then the other thing why I like the Hurom H70 is on the flip side, is that when you're done juicing, right, the cleaning process requires no scrubbing. You simply take a high pressure sprayer, even your kitchen sink, and just spray off all the parts, and it becomes clean, and you got about a minute to clean it. You know, other juicers that have a stainless steel screen, you have to scrub with a oversized toothbrush, and it could take 4 to 5 minutes to clean. This one takes a minute. Literally, just a few videos ago, link down below to that one, I share how you could juice carrots, and I juiced 4 pounds of carrots in this very machine, and including me taking time to load it up and clean it only was 2.5 minutes. Actually, 2 minutes and 20 seconds. I literally got about 4 3/4 cups of juice, literally with 2.5 minutes of work. That is really the beauty of the H70. It makes juicing the easiest so that you can juice more often and get more juice in you. All right, so let's go ahead and load up our pre-cut cucumbers in there. And we're going to see how many cucumbers we can fill in there. That's 1. All right, here is 2. All right, there's 2. And I think we're pretty much full, so we're going to go ahead and start the juicing process. Let's put a mason jar right underneath the spout to catch all our juice. And we got a catch cup, so we're just going to go ahead and shut the lid, turn it on. And now the juicer is going to do all the juicing without me. I don't have to do anything else. This is amazing. This allows me to take time to prepare my next cucumbers to juice. So while the juicer's running, making the juice, I'm going to go ahead and prepare these cucumbers. And we're going to speed this part of the video up for you guys to save you guys some time. Alright guys, so the Hurom H70 has emptied the hopper, pulp is stopped flowing, so we can go ahead and open the spout cap to release the final amounts of juice. And sure enough, by keeping the spout cap closed, we definitely remove the foam, or minimize the foam created for sure compared to the first half. So thank you to one of my viewers who actually told me about this. This is great, but I also want to find out the pros and cons of doing this. So you guys can see we got basically half the juice here, half the juice here. This one has a lot more foam. But on the other hand, I want to talk about this. You know, this juice, when I hold it up to the light, I see a lot more particulate in there. And in this juice, there seems to be a little bit less particulate. So the other thing I notice is that the pulp coming out of the end, literally what's happening is the juicer's trying to extract the juice. But as it's juicing, the pulp coming out is sitting in juice. So to me, it looks like the pulp that came out at the end is a lot more wet. Like we could squeeze this and there's a lot of juice still left in there. That's all right. In this case, I'm going to show you guys how to get it out. And it's so much juice that even at the bottom of this container, you guys can see there's just juice sitting here because the slow juicer was not super effective at extracting the juice out of the soft cucumber. Next up, we're going to go ahead and taste test both these juices. This is the one where I had the spout cap open. Tastes good. Pure cucumber juice. Not getting any residual fiber in there. Next up, the one where I kept the spout cap closed. Definitely more pulpy, guys. So if you guys want more pulp in your juice and less foam, keep it closed, but you're also going to get a wetter pulp. But if you want less pulp in your juice, don't mind the foam, then keep it open. I mean, this is how nuanced juicers are, and this is why I have my YouTube channel, so I can bring you guys all these little small nuances so you can dial in your specific way you juice, and even more importantly, the specific juicer you use, right? Other influencers don't go this deep to share with you guys all this knowledge so that you guys have the best information, make the most informed choice, and, you know, make the juicer perform how you want it to perform. So now that we made our cucumber juice 100% straight up, I'm going to show you guys how to get the maximum yield out of the pulp. And so we're going to do that with one of my favorite vegetables, which is jicama. Jicama is an amazing root vegetable, may be available at a store near you. I buy these at the local Hispanic market. These were actually on sale this week for 4 pounds for $1. Normally they're about 99 cents a pound here. So also known as the yam bean. This is a really nice one. Looks like kind of a spaceship or UFO. You do need to peel these, however, there may be toxins in the skin. So we're just going to go ahead and peel this off camera, and I'll show you guys the next step once we do. Alright guys, so I got our jicamas peeled. The next step is we're just going to go ahead and cut these into cubes. So I basically just like to cut it in half once, and then cut it into little strips. And then I'll put it on its side, and then I'll cut like a French fry cut out of them. And then I'll turn it this direction, and then I'll make little cubes out of it. Now, I like to use jicama because it has a nice mild flavor. It also can be a nitrate accumulator, so it can help with things like the blood pressure. In addition, it also has inulin and can feed your microbiome. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and cube the rest of these jicamas off camera. Alright guys, so you guys can see I got all the jicama cubed up. Let's see, next up we're going to need a new mason jar to catch our juice. Next up, we're going to go ahead and put in a handful or two of the jicama. The goal at this point is I want to get all the residual cucumber pulp that's still sitting in the machine out of the machine. So I'm going to wait until I see basically white jicama coming out. Actually, in this case, I'm going to go ahead and also keep the spout cap open. So now I'm seeing the mixed cucumber with the jicama pulp coming out. And pretty soon it'll pretty much be almost all white jicama pulp coming out. Alright, at this point I'm getting mostly all jicama pulp coming out. So we're going to go ahead and turn off the machine. Next up, this is a very important step, guys. You want to put a handful of jicama into the juicer, and I'll stop right here because I know a lot of you guys, maybe in Europe, can't find jicama. Jicama is an amazing vegetable. I would encourage you guys to find it. It's amazing, and you know, a lot of better grocery stores here in the U.S. may carry it that have a larger produce section because it's quite uncommon, unfortunately. If you can't find jicama, the direct replacement I would say would be kohlrabi, which should be available easily all over Europe. That has a very similar kind of neutral flavor in most cases. Otherwise, you can use like something like carrots, although that's going to change the flavor of the juice you're going to get a lot. But once again, we want to use some kind of root vegetable or hard fibrous vegetable, maybe celeriac or this, the celery root thing. Nonetheless, what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and, just dribble in a little bit of this cucumber pulp. We're going to basically make layers. So we got the jicama layer, we got the cucumber pulp layer, another handful of the jicama layer. We're going to go ahead and make another layer of this celery. And we're going to make another layer of the jicama pulp, or the jicama cubes. We're going to go ahead and put in a little more of the cucumber. It's super soft, super juicy. And you're going to see the difference that literally juicing the cucumber with the jicama or with roots can make, especially on this pulp. That literally, look at this pulp, guys. At the bottom of this pulp container, I'm literally pouring out juice out of it. It's insane. All right, so let's go ahead and get the rest of this soft cucumber pulp into the hopper. Alright guys, so you guys can see I got all the cucumber pulp in there. Next up we're going to try to just put in a little bit more jicama on top. We don't want to try to cram this in too much. We want to kind of leave it loose packed. And now we get to turn the machine on. You know, this is another one of the major benefits you guys could get if you have a hopper juicer such as the Hurom H70. This allows you to easily rejuice the pulp without you having to stick pulp through and then push it in again, which is hogwash, right? Because we diluted it down perfectly, right? Look at this, the pulp is flowing out really easily, the juice is coming out, and we still even have extra leftover jicama that we may just kind of like drop in to the top here, right? Super simple, super easy. Let the juicer do all the work and you reap the rewards of the maximum amount of juice out of your cucumbers. That's going to save you guys money in the long run, right? And this is how the Hurom H70 not only saves you guys time, but also money. Now I will mention that other hopper juicers, you can use this same technique. What I will also tell you is that the Hurom H70 has the best designed hopper with processing blade, and the hole size where it feeds in the pulp into the juicer is optimized for rejuicing pulp. This is a machine that I found that works best on this. Of course, I've done this in other juicers, and other juicers, the problem is some of the pulp may stick to the sidewalls more, and you will need to add even more jicama. So, you know, you could add the least amount of jicama and get the best results in the Hurom H70. And of course, the main thing about the Hurom H70 is the 1 minute cleaning at the end. Literally, before we know it, we have another half a quart of the jicama cucumber juice made easily in the Hurom H70. I'm going to go ahead and add more of this jicama in here. Alright guys, so the Hurom H70 has basically gone through and juiced all the cucumber pulp with the cubed jicama. Pretty much the pulp is stopped flowing out and the juice is stopped. Next step is we're going to go ahead and put in the rest of the jicama. This ensures that I have everything that was previously in there rejuiced. This is also an opportunity, if there is anything left on the sidewalls, which there shouldn't be much, to you know, push this down and then get that to go into the juicer. Alright, now we get to start the machine up and let it juice that straight jicama, so we can pretty much see the straight jicama coming out of the juicer. Alright guys, so it's just about done. I want to share with you guys a few more tips and things going on when you juice jicama alone straight, or even sometimes when you mix it with the other things you're going to be rejuicing. It will make a louder noise, like a squeaky noise. This is completely normal. This is due to the texture of the jicama. The other thing I'm noticing is that the pulp, if you guys look at this, is coming out very yellow. Like, why is the pulp yellow, John? Well, I can only surmise that one of the last things I juiced in my Hurom H70, and I basically cleaned it without using soap, right, was turmeric, which basically the colors kind of get ingrained in, and I surmise that the jicama is running through and kind of pulling out some of the colors on the auger, you know, because I did not use soap. You know, if you want to use soap and water, that would get it out better. And then, of course, you want to put also the parts in the sun, because the UV will also break down the coloring. That being said, I don't like to do any of those things, but it's great to see that the jicama alone just was able to help get the juicer a little bit cleaner. Nonetheless, if you look at this pulp now, you could notice there's like no juice sitting at the bottom of this pulp. And we're going to reach down to some of this pulp, which is basically the cucumber jicama, and squeeze it. And you can see there's a little bit of juice in there, but we've gotten it significantly more drier. And as you guys can see, you know, we made maybe almost a little bit more juice. The second time, of course, we added 2 jicamas, which is full of juice. And finally, I want to taste the jicama cucumber juice for you guys on the camera to let you guys know what it tastes like here. So once again, this is just the jicama juice with the cucumber, right? And it's not the same as straight cucumber, but now we got the second pressing. And now we have the benefits of the cucumber juice along with inulin fiber and the benefits of jicama, which is an amazing tuberous vegetable. That being said, you know, this would be also a great juice to give to, you know, friends or family, because it does taste a lot sweeter. So let's find out what it tastes like. Wow. So I'm tasting like mostly jicama. I'm tasting like cucumber overtones. Have you ever guys had like cucumber water? That's kind of what this tastes like, whereas the cucumber juice tastes like basically like you're eating cucumbers, like more stronger. And sometimes cucumber juice can have a bite depending what variety of cucumber you're using, and of course how well the juicer is extracting nutrients out of the skin, because the skin can have that, you know, some funny flavors there. Generally, the English cucumbers, the Persian cucumbers, have, you know, a lot less of this bitterness. But yeah, to me, the Jicama cucumber juice is quite agreeable. And in this episode, you guys learn how to get your pulp the driest and get the maximum extraction out of cucumbers when using a slow juicer, right? Simply rejuice the pulp if you're juicing it straight like I did today. Make a lot more juice for a little bit more vegetables. Get the pulp a lot drier and maximize your nutrition. If you guys are juicing cucumbers and mixing it with other things, that's fine. You could just mix the cucumbers with the Jicama in the first place and get the pulp about this dry as well. But I know a lot of you guys just want to make the straight cucumber juice, and then at the end you're like thinking, oh man, all this pulp is super wet, there's still lots of juice, how do I get it out? Well, hey, rejuice it again. And once again, like I showed you guys, the Hurom H70 makes it easy. And the funnest part of the juicing with the Hurom H70 is the cleanup, because I used to dread cleanup with other juicers. With the Hurom H70, I actually look forward to it, because I literally just have to spray it down and it's done. So if you guys have not yet purchased a juicer and want to purchase the Hurom H70, I want to get you guys a special discount on the Hurom H70. You guys want to use a coupon code CUKE, that's CUKE, at Hurom.com. That coupon code will save you guys a minimum of 10% off the Hurom H70, so you guys can get the lowest price. And if should Hurom have other promotions going on that are publicly available, my coupons will always get you guys the lowest price on the juicers. And also, of course, when you guys use a coupon code, not only will you save 10% or more on the Hurom H70, Hurom will also share me a small commission so I can continue to buy my produce, make these videos, dedicate my time, pay my video editor, pay my light bill. So I want to thank you guys so much who will use my coupon code when you make your purchase or have used it in the past. This allows me to continue to make these educational videos and go even deeper than other influencers will tell you, so that you guys have all the knowledge you need to be the most effective juicer, and of course buy the right equipment the first time. Alright, so if I've helped you out with knowledge and sharing all my knowledge and comparisons online, hey, help me out to use that coupon code. Thank you so much. Alright, so that's pretty much it for this episode. If you guys enjoy this episode, learning how to get the most extraction out of cucumbers and how you can bypass some of the faults with slow juicers and softer produce items. And to remind you guys, while I did do this with cucumbers today, you can do this with other kinds of softer fruits that don't tend to juice well and even leave a wetter pulp. I even do this same technique with my green juice. Links down below to that video where you guys can see me do my green juice and get even a second extraction on my green juice, which I do because it's very valuable. And actually, I love drinking the green juice with the Jicama. It adds a nice sweetness to it. And if you guys haven't tried Jicama yet, hey, try juicing Jicama. It's completely amazing. Also, be sure to share this video with other people in different Facebook groups and forums so that they can get the most extraction out of their cucumbers, because I know a lot of people out there love to juice their cucumbers. I know I do. It makes a nice, refreshing juice, especially good for hydration on a hot summer day. Also, be sure to click that subscribe button right down below so you don't miss my new and upcoming episodes I've come in every 5 to 7 days. You never know what new juicer I'll be unboxing, what new juicers I'll be comparing against other, or what new juicing knowledge bombs I'll be dropping on it so that you can be a more effective juicer. Make sure you click the little bell so you get notified as many videos as can. And finally, be sure to share past episodes. Past episodes are a wealth of knowledge. Over 800 episodes at this time on this channel dedicated to you guys all about the different juicers and other equipment to process your fruits and vegetables in the best ways possible to retain the most nutrition so that you get the most health benefit. I'll put links down below also to some of my videos I've made in the past with the Hurom H70, including where I juice pineapple without clogging, including juicing carrots, including juicing beets, including juicing oranges, including juicing my green juice, and so many others, as well as the original unboxing where I show the 60-second cleanup. So with that, my name is John Kohler with DiscountJuicers.com. Be sure to visit DiscountJuicers.com/YouTube for special promotional offers for YouTube visitors.